Hello, ladies and gentlemen, it's the Historical Gamer once again, and today we're returning to Ultimate General Civil War, and in this battle we are fighting the Battle of Shiloh, and it is April 7th, 1862, the second day of the Battle of Shiloh. As you can see here in the game, I'm moving forces out to I guess if we're facing south from the Union perspective, it would be my right, the Confederate left, the left side of the map. In an attempt to flank the Confederates, I'm also going to be moving forces out to the right, so I'm conducting what amounts to a double envelopment of the Confederate positions. The Confederates lost heavily yesterday, and so our attempt now is to overwhelm them with numbers. We have a considerable manpower advantage thanks to the casualties they suffered yesterday, as well as the reinforcements that we received, so that we should hopefully be able to throw the Confederates back. One thing that I think Ultimate General Civil War needs to do a little bit better of is between days and battles, kind of maintaining that current map, so maintaining a persistent map environment so that wherever forces leave off at the end of the day is where they pick up at the start of the next day. The reason I say that is this is April 7th. It's 1862. Historically, April 6th, the first day of the Battle of Shiloh, the Confederates caught the Union by surprise. They hammered them in the nose. They hammered them again. They had an open road to their rear. They didn't take it. They got held up at the Hornet's Nest, but they eventually overwhelmed the Union there, drove them back, pushed them all the way back to Pittsburgh Landing, where the Union set up a final defensive line with stragglers and other forces that were exhausted from a days of fighting. However, at that point, the Union outnumbered the Confederates. The Union had about 30,000 effectives on the field on April 7th, with new reinforcements, some 7,000 plus reinforcements that arrived, both from Grant's division, which was upriver, which arrived, as well as Nelson's division from Buell's army, which had arrived. So that at the start of the day, the Union had about 30,000 effectives. The Confederates were down to around, I think it was around 20,000 effectives. They lost 7,000 or so casualties, but they had also lost a lot of stragglers, deserters, and what have you. So the Union outnumbered the Confederacy at the start of day two. They attacked early in the morning on April 7th, 1862. They didn't wait for the Confederates to attack them, and they met with some initial success pushing back the Confederates with relative ease before the Confederates kind of regained their ground, launched a counterattack, stemmed the tide, and slowly withdrew throughout the remainder of the day back to basically the starting positions of the first day's fighting when PTG Beauregard decided that it was time to withdraw, that his army was in no shape to continue resistance. But effectively, the thing that's missing here is if you launch a series of attacks in Ultimate General Civil War and you push the enemy back throughout a day, and then the day ends, the beginning of the day, everything kind of starts fresh. Your men, I believe, my experience anyway, is where they should be at the start of that historical day. The problem with that approach is you really miss that confusion, that lack of cohesion that generals had to deal with. So Shiloh's a good example. The Confederates were horribly disorganized. Their lines were intermingled. Their regiments were all over, and that had a big part to do with the initial successes of the Union attack at the Battle of Shiloh. There are other battles that were similar to this. At Chancellorsville, obviously, the Confederate lines got all tangled up. Jackson was killed in the middle of the night. In the beginning of the following day, the Confederate forces had to untangle themselves, get themselves back into proper alignment. They weren't perfectly aligned and ready to go right at the attack. And so I think the game would add a little bit of a dynamic if the way your forces are aligned at the end of a day is kind of, at least to some extent, the way that they're aligned at the start of the next day. One of the things that I really love about this game is that as you fight, you can see where the challenges of a commander lay in keeping his forces aligned, neat columns of men going after each other and continuing to push the attack. One of the things that I find in every one of my battles is my initial wave goes forward, a solid line, we overlap the enemy, we outflank them, we push them back, much as you can see we're doing in the battle right now. But the thing that I always struggle with is after that initial contact is met, is as you push individual regiments back and you try and, gain the victory, at some point your lines become intermingled. Regiments lose their cohesion. There seems to be a bunch of regiments piling up in one side and not enough in another spot. And it really illustrates the difficulty, especially in rough terrain, of commanders maintaining cohesion with their forces. And I've noticed that more in this game than in many others, even personally in Scourge of War. And I wonder if Scourge of War's command interface, while it's obscures certain things from you, certain things from your line of sight, and if you issue orders via courier, it certainly can get confusing, but it seems more easy to maintain alignment in Scourge of War than it does in this game. In this game, I think that's an interesting piece to Civil War battles. You saw battle after battle. One reason that attacks bogged down, one reason that attacks failed to achieve what they were designed to, is that the forces would lose their alignment, they would lose their cohesion, they would become intermingled, they'd stack up in the wrong places, they'd get, intertwined. I know I'm saying the same thing 8 different times, but you saw that at Chancellorsville, you saw that at the Wilderness, you saw that at Shiloh, you saw that in most major battles where a major breakthrough occurred, the difficulty in maintaining that momentum and really achieving a decisive result was largely because of the way that command breaks down as these large forces, push forward. And I think this game does a good job of capturing that, but I think it would capture it even better if your alignment at the end of a day was similar to how your alignment began the next day. Now, in some scenarios that may not make sense, if the battle ends at, 8 p.m. and then the next day's fighting doesn't start till 3 p.m. Obviously, there's time there for forces to get resorted out, and maybe historically that's what happened. But I still think it's an interesting concept and an interesting idea that would be worth pursuing. With that being said, guys, that was my little historical bit. I'm not going to do a whole video on the history of the second day of Shiloh. But with that being said, guys, that's going to do it for my historical discussion of the battle. This gameplay is all taken from a live stream that I conducted a couple of weeks ago now, where I fought the Battle of Shiloh. And obviously, I talk a lot more about the gameplay as it's going on in that live stream. So based on some of the feedback from you guys, that's going to do it for my monologue piece. I'm going to jump back out. I'll put you guys back in with my commentary, and then you'll get the remainder of the battle there, and then I'll meet you back up at the end of the fight. So hope you guys enjoyed this so far. Hope you guys enjoy the remainder of the video. Feel free to leave comments below, and I'll catch you guys at the end. Thanks. All right, there's no reason not to deploy more of these troops forward. I'm handicapping myself by not doing so. But these enemy troops are now in such good terrain that it's easy to force them from, or it's hard to force them from their positions. We continue to hold this objective against about these guys. Manny hasn't taken this position. There. One of these fields is ours. Yeah, so we just took this location with Manny's force. So it was probably Stuart back in the enemy rear that was really doing everything. So as long as we hold these positions, we're okay. Continue pressing forward, guys. Oh, Springfields. I don't want you guys getting rotted. I thought I would have more success here turning them out. I haven't seen any... When do you get the Springfield 1861? I only see the 1855s. So these guys are armed with 1855s, I think. But I haven't seen the game reference the 1861. Oops. So if we look at these guys, they're armed with 1855s. Haven't seen 1861s yet. This force is over there. Our hold on these objective points is tenuous at best. Literally any enemy troops falling back at all on us will... Alright, there you go. That battery of artillery is destroyed. So these enemy guns are delaying our advance. Another enemy battery destroyed. Alright, so fulfill at least one. We've done 2 of them. But again, with not the most convincing methods. It can become very difficult to coordinate all these forces, everybody, so just keep that in mind as we advance on the enemy and try and drive more of them from the field. Carlos Buell, George B. Gamer. I guess sitting back here. We do have some artillery that's sitting back and kind of wasting time, but... Corbett, don't get destroyed, please. Get out of there, Torbert. Okay. The Army of the Tennessee in the game, you mean? I don't know if they're, like, are they including Vicksburg battles in the game or not? I feel like no games really cover the Western Theater. If you're looking at any Civil War game and they're talking about the Western Theater, literally all you get is the Battle of Shiloh, and that's it. That's pretty much it. I mean, you do have Murfreesboro in this game, so you get Rosecrans' army. You don't have any of the Vicksburg battles, I don't believe. Could be wrong there. Someone correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't believe you get any of the Vicksburg battles. Chickamauga will be here, but that's Rosecrans' army. So yeah. Alright, go march, take this objective. You guys go march down here, secure this objective. Take some of the pressure off our cavalry. You guys need to get in better cover. Maybe closer range and more likely to get hit by canister, but you need better cover than that. Don't destroy my beautiful, beautiful Irish brigade. Oh. That's what I want you to do. I want you to advance, not die. Okay, we've got infantry on the way to those objectives we've already taken. Pretty much broken the enemy line. Just a matter of pursuit. I don't want to just run. But we don't have a ton of time either. Yeah, Kirk. Get in there. In those woods. You guys are broken. Come on, rout him for good. Ah. Probably one good volley away from routing for good. Okay. Whoa, halt. Where the hell do you think you're going? And the wonders of the defensive terrain. Albert Sidney Johnson's still alive, though. Confederacy can take that to heart. Okay, so we've got the Springfield Brigade almost to this objective, so that one should be safe. Time is expiring. We're at 0, so finish. And a victory at the Battle of Shiloh. 25,000 Union engaged. We lost about half our army, so that's going to sting. The enemy lost more than double, however, 23,000 troops. The enemy lost 50 guns out of their total of 80. We did lose 25 of our 50 guns, heavy gun losses, but nonetheless a victory for the Union Army under our troops. We lost a couple of brigades routed from the field, but we also saw some promotions. So Torbert is now a brigadier general, same as McGowan, which will help with our division commander situation. Quite a few promotions across the board. We did have some losses. Wade Scales was killed. Look at all of these promotions, guys. Loomis was wounded, so he'll be out for a while. Edward Kursk will be out for a while. Tom Walker is dead. Samuel Heinzelman is wounded, and William Nelson is wounded. So we lost 2 brigadier generals wounded, but quite a few newly minted brigadier generals. If we go back to the goods seized, we liberated 5,000 or recovered 5,300 of our own Springfields, 400 farmers' muskets, 600 Kochen brothers. We recovered, of those 25 guns we lost, we recovered some 16 of them. So that's good. In addition to that, we seized some 8 enemy howitzers, a total of 14 enemy guns seized, 16 of our own, so we actually ended the battle stronger in terms of total guns possessed. 10,000 Springfields recovered or captured. Anything nicer? 500 Lorenzes rescued. So about 1,000 Springfields and Lorenzes rescued. At the end of the day, for weaponry, for actual weapons we can equip our troops, we ended a little bit short of replacing all of our casualties. But there's some nice stuff we can sell, too. So we've got some reboard farmers' muskets. That'll bring some money in. Those Kochen brothers will bring some money in that we can sell. Recovered some of our own palmettos. The Sharps recovered some of our own there and captured some supplies as well. So, all that being said, we'll go ahead into the post-battle phase. And there you go. We were rewarded with Ulysses S. Grant, so I think he will immediately take command of our 2nd Corps. We gained 1 army organization, or he gains 1 army organization. 120 prisoners exchanged for 126 new recruits. We also gained 14,000 new recruits, so we lost 12,000 men in that battle, but we have 17,000 in our bank to play with. We have almost $300,000 to play with. So we should be able to rebuild this army, although, again, it is a shadow of itself. Fortunately, our highly armed or highly equipped forces fared the best. This 1st Division had all elite weaponry between Springfields and Lorenzes, and they're all in decent enough shape. They're going to be expensive as hell to replace, though, with experienced troops. I kind of want these guys to be my crack divisions. One thing I would like a little bit more control over is, like, rather than needing a whole corps to be a crack corps and put them in reserve, I would love to be able to just say, here, this division is going to be posted here, so I could have 1 unit kind of in reserve. We get our supply back. We lost 1 battery of guns. Some batteries were damaged. We go to the armory here. We look at the artillery. We'll see we have some 17, 23, some 30 guns. And Yeah, so let's go ahead and get these guys back up to their 10-gun complement here. That's the first thing we're going to do. It's 5,000. We'll get these Napoleons as well up to 12 guns. We need a commander for them, but this is where they were at before the battle. These guys, we didn't have a battery of artillery in the Second Corps, did we? So there's a lot to do in terms of replacing our casualties and whatnot and getting the army up to strength. I think what I am going to do is I've been streaming for almost 2 hours, so I think I'm going to go ahead and take a break, like a permanent break. And I may stream tonight, so I know I do a lot of late-night streams. It wouldn't be too late because I've got class kind of early in the morning, but I will stream probably around somewhere between 9 and 10 o'clock Central Standard Time. That's about 6.5 hours from now, and we'll pick up from there with rebuilding our army that's been absolutely shredded. All right, guys. Well, I'm back. I hope you enjoyed the stream. I hope you enjoyed the battle. And I think at this point, what I'll probably plan to do is I'll try and live stream Ultimate General tonight. This is going up on Wednesday. I'll try and live stream a little bit tonight. I may do some Afghanistan 11 as well, but I'll try and stream around 10 p.m. Central Standard Time is usually when I try and stream. So if you do want to join me, I'll pick up this series where we left off. Just, you know, at this point in the stream, because I haven't started more streaming since then, and we'll pick up where we left off. Anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know your thoughts below, and until next time, guys, this is the Historical Gamer saying thank you for watching, and I'm out.